The slide from the men in blue, i.e., the Chicago Cubs, continue as the Cardinals take 2 out of 3 from the Northsiders at their friendly confines. The White Sox get rattled by the Rattlesnakes in Arizona. We had a photo finish at U.S. Open Golf, and the presumed GOAT took time to display his expertise in the booth during the UFL game. That, in an interesting look at this week's edition of Old School TV Monday. That, in a possible retirement from a former athlete in the broadcasting industry. That, and a whole lot more as Second City Sports, the Monday edition starts right now. Welcome to another fun-filled Monday edition of Second City Sports. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakina McGee, which is she. I am Sydney Brown. Hey, that's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You find my Lakina McGee on the Twitter, X, and Q's again, the IG.
Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're ready, give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza, we call it Sports Talk Radio Show, you can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. But you decide to troll and or do something silly, dumb, or stupid, I've given Lakina full powers to give you fools to be a lamb, be a boot.
Toodles.
But before we begin, we must remind you can catch Sports Zone Chicago live in the living color, not now, but right now on Roku TV. That's right. So celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. If you already have a Roku television, just tap on that sports phone and download that Sports Zone Chicago app. If you don't have a Roku television, but you have some handheld devices laying around, iPhone, iPad, iTouch, your Chromebook, or your PC, or your Android, just hit up the Google Play Store, download that Roku TV app, and access Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. So no more excuses. Celebrate the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Live and on demand.
Anytime, anywhere.
And you know we will provide.
And when we try to keep you guys cool, we know it's hot all over the Midwest and parts of the Northeast.
Fun in the summertime.
Sorry. Wait, oh, we can't. Oh, I can't say that. Whatever that. You think all different kinds of songs.
That's why I stopped.
So yeah, that's why I didn't even think about it. But yeah, we're gonna try to keep it cool here on Second City Sports. Of course, that's just in the teaser. Some interesting sports TV news, sports media news, I should say. Of course, could we be seeing the end of an era with one legend and another legend? Get some reps in for some broadcasting over the weekend. Also, we got a great finish at the U.S. Open. Some other, great stuff and a whole lot more. But first, Sid, the Cubs. My goodness. Once again, this is supposed to be the softest part of their schedule. And I know, Sid, you went to the game on Saturday with the Cubs-Cardinals game there. Of course, showed it in Managa, one of the few bright spots for this Cubs squad. They ended up winning that game 5-1. With the wind blowing in, you thought that maybe the Cubs would get maybe 6-7 run score there, but no. I think I saw a stat. I think on our buddy GN Sports with our buddies Chris Bowden and Andy Mason. We gotta get those two back on at some point before the year is out. But they had this interesting stat where I think it was like 11. Well, I think they're like 11-2 with Shota on the mound, and then they're like the rest. They're like under 500 when he's not starting. So yeah, Sid. I mean. Lack of hitting, just lack of execution, fielding issues. You go on, Sid. I'm getting. Is it too early to start drinking yet? No. Alcohol and hot water don't mix, so I'll forget that, folks. But Sid, go ahead.
For the record, it's 12:22 p.m. Central Standard Time, so I don't think it's too early to drink. Maybe for you on a personal note, but I don't think it is, at least acquired by law. But first, I want to say, even though I am not, I repeat, NOT, not a Cubs fan, I was representing Ozzie Smith wearing my blue Cardinals jersey. For those of you that missed it, you can go to my social media pages to check it out. But experiencing the Shota Imanaga experience, it was very awesome as a baseball fan. Of course, he got the biggest ovation from the sold out crowd at Wrigley Field for Cubs fans, and he pitched a great game. 7 innings, and he struck out 6. And he definitely took control of the ball game. We talked about it before we went on there, that you could argue that he's this team's MVP this year. Now, he's a rookie. No one expected him to be this dominant, but he has done the job so far. Now you go through the rest of that pitching staff. Justin Steele, as I mentioned last week, the Cubs have lost 8 out of his last 9 starts, and Justin Steele has looked great in his last 4 or 5 starts. Jameson Taillon yesterday, he made a mistake, but he kept the Cubs in the ballgame. The problem with the Cubs this weekend, with the exception of Saturday, I'm not going to take any credit for it. I just happened to witness it live, okay? But it's a problem for the Cubs. We've been saying for the last few weeks they're consistently inconsistent. Last Saturday, they got men on, but the big bat was Ian Happ's 3-1 home run in the bottom of the 8th to break that game open for Chicago last Saturday. But the problem is with the Cubs is not getting them on. They can get them on base. They can't get them through home plate. And as we talked about, too, for the last few weeks, you got to get creative, play hidden run balls, stealing bases outside of maybe Pete Armstrong. I don't see too many guys that can steal bases for this Cubs team. They got to be aggressive, be smart about it in certain situations when it comes to doing that. But Ian Happ's 3-1 home run saved them on Saturday, but yesterday, I believe it was in the 4th inning, they had the bases loaded, came up with nothing. Had a couple men on in the bottom of the 8th inning, nothing. In the 9th inning, Patrick Wisdom, we'll go back to last Friday. We were on the air when this game went on, but last Friday, Patrick Wisdom had a chance to, I believe, tie the game. He came up short with a long fly out. Same scenario again yesterday. Came up to bat, 2 strikes, lifted that ball onto the outfield, was called out, and St. Louis took 2 out of 3 from Chicago. The problem is, again, in the Marlin Kingdom, the problem is getting them across home plate.
U.S. Second City Sports on Sports on Chicago, like Keenan McGee, Steve Brown with you, talking some Cubs baseball here. Yeah, I think they had like 22 runners stranded during that whole series against the Cardinals, and that's not good if you're trying to stay in a division where, like I said, I don't think the Brewers, they had their struggles over the weekend, but I don't think they're gonna pull away. But the problem is that now you're in last place. Now the Cardinals, who some people thought would probably challenge for a division, they're starting to play like it. The Pirates have been okay thanks to Paul Skeens. And the Reds are kind of up and down. We'll talk about that in a second. Snoop Dogg had a little bit of fun with Mr. Eli De La Cruz. We'll talk about that after the break. But
shizzle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like one of the problem here is just that everyone else in the division, everyone's kind of like in the same level. And I think the problem with if you're a Cubs fan is that, look, Matt Chapman, I really want him to come to the Cubs. They didn't want to pay him. You had all these other, and like you said, Sid, I mean, it's not that the pitching hasn't been the issue. It's just like it was not one thing, it's another with this team. I mean, you thought it was a bullpen. The bullpen's actually been okay for the most part lately. The hitting kind of stayed the pitching, but now the hitting, you're getting good starts, like you said, from Steele and from Taillon. I know he gave it that run early on, but he kept the minute. He got out of jams. The problem is that the hitting just isn't there, and no one's being cohesive. No one's on the same page, and that's the problem, especially in a division where you should be able to win it.
Yeah, I read the comments from Dansby Swanson, who's been having a terrible year. No one's jumping off ship. Everybody's trying to stick together and trying to get out of this, and that's the kind of things you want to hear from your veteran leader. Now, the pitching staff is going to change again because we talked about this on Friday before the Cardinals series that Ben Brown had a neck injury and he's out indefinitely. You don't know if and when he's going to come back this season, so he's out indefinitely. Also, too, don't forget about Jordan Wicks, who pitched well for them earlier in the year. he's also on the shelf right now, so you don't know when he's going to come back, which means that Kyle Hendricks, who's actually been pitching decent coming out of the bullpen, he's going to make his start into the rotation. He's going to make his start on Wednesday when they face the San Francisco Giants at the friendly confines. Of course, the Cubs now in the middle of their 9-game homestand, and they lost 2 or 3 so far to the Cardinals. But I want to go back to the offense, and Mike Troutman is leading off again. I know he's not going to be the leadoff a guy for long. Me personally, I like to see Pete Crow Armstrong up there. We'll see if and when Craig Counsell makes that move. But I want to ask you about all the other guys in the lineup. What's wrong with Christopher Morel? What's wrong with Cody Bellinger? What's wrong with Nico Horner? His bat has been iffy, but his defense has been suspect at best all year. And also, too, what's wrong with Seiya Suzuki? I know he wasn't there on Saturday, but you start to look at some of the other guys that are on the lineup. It's just like you mentioned, not everyone's hitting on the same chord at this time.
Yeah, yeah, and it's also bad whenever like it's one time. It's one thing when one guy or two guys have their slumps. The problem is that everyone's having their slumps at the exact same time. Morel, we know he kind of has his off weeks, from time to time. Swanson hasn't had a good, good hasn't had a he has had a good season so far. He has some Philly issues also too. Bellinger's not having his best year, and I know it's supposed to be a prove it year for him to get that big money. So
Mhm.
for me, I think I don't know if it's a hitting thing. Is it's just like everyone's kind of like in the slump at the same time. The problem is I feel like this is sort of one of those things where you're just this isn't good, and I think everyone needs got to get their stuff together. They play the Giants. The Giants have been up and down too. Like they're kind of similar to the Cubs. They need to get this finish strong in this homestand because if not, you can't lose the division in June, but you can be left behind in June. And if you're a Cubs fan, you do not want that.
And also, too, with the exception of Saturday, what's wrong with Ian Happ? Hopefully, he can turn it around at the plate. He's been a more than above average left fielder defensively, but his performance at the plate has been hit and miss so far this season. As we talked about too during the last couple of weeks on our shows, that the Cubs cannot use the excuse that it's early. It's early. We are at June 17th, and we're in the middle of the month where it gets hot outside and teams are starting to identify and establish themselves with their identities. The Cubs cannot use that excuse anymore. You mentioned Lakina is goal time 24 out of their 27 games during this stretch against teams below 500. It's goal time. And number two, we're going to harp on this between now and July 31st, which is more important, another bullpen arm or a big bat. I think I might be jumping ship here, Lakina. SHIP for those scoring at home. I think this Cubs team needs a big bat. Who is it? I don't know. Is it JD Martinez or the New York Mets? Which I don't know. He's the answer. Is it Vladimir Guerrero Jr. or from Toronto? You may have to give up the house for him. I'm not sure if that's worth it or not. Or maybe Pete Alonso from the New York Mets. I'm not sure, but we'll have some time and some weeks to talk about this. But Lakina, something has to happen with this Cubs team. And I don't know if they had too much longer to wait.
Yeah, I may have to change course with you, Sid. I mean, I thought that maybe the pitching has been pretty good lately. Even like I said, even the bullpen's been okay. But like I said, like you said, I mean, it may need that big bat. And I think the only thing about Alonso is that there are rumors that he may not want to, he may not want to sign long term with someone outside the Mets. That's gonna be something to look out for. Do you really want to give up a farm for a 2-3 month rental? I don't know if you want to do that. Now, JD Martinez, I don't know if he's the answer either. Vlad Jr. again, Toronto might want like you're basically literally the farm to for you to they're not just gonna give them to you. So maybe to
Mhm.
see what happens. But yeah, I think things are getting kind of close, kind of quick. And if you're a Cubs fan, you don't have a lot of time to figure it out. So hopefully, Jed Hoyer and Carter Hawkins can figure it out and figure it out quick.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to sit here and say time is running out, but you don't have much time. Like I said, it's June 17th. It's goal time. One good streak, one good winning streak, one good stretch will put this Cubs team not just into contention, but you will be leading this division because, like we said, Milwaukee, they're a good team, but I don't see them run away with this division. I don't. Are they better than the Dodgers? No. Are they better than the Philadelphia Phillies? No.
We're gonna have more Diamond Talk coming up next as the Sox go back into the bad habits and forgot how to field again. And they're in their series against
What
the
else is new?
Diamondbacks. Yeah, Red Sox get the best of the Yankees this time, and a whole lot more. And Snoop Dogg makes a visit to the Cincinnati Reds. We'll talk to you about we're gonna talk to you guys about that coming up next. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown, Second City Sports on Sports of Chicago. More Diamond Talk coming up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class.
These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. That's Lakina over there. I'm Cindy Brown over here. You can catch yours truly on the social media streets on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow my Lakina McGee on the Twitter, X and the IG.
We have less than 85 minutes left for this extravaganza we call a Sports Talk Radio Show. If you have any questions or comments for us as we talk White Sox and the rest of MLB, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Again, we'll get them up on the screen for you.
All right, let's go to Arizona as the Sox lose 2-3 to the Diamondbacks. I'll give them a shout out for Saturday's game. I mean, 9-2. Lennon Sosa hit a home run during that game, a 3-run home run that kind of broke the game open there, and the pitching staff was actually pretty good. I mean, Martin Maldonado, who apparently, I guess there's this lobby for a section of Sox fans giving the All-Star game. I don't know why, but I guess that's
I'm not
maybe
even gonna
just
waste my good brother on comment on that. Go on.
yeah, but Eric Fedde, of course, another good outing, 6 strikeouts there, but everything in between, not so much, especially yesterday's game. Tommy Pham had a kicked around a ball in in left field and a couple other errors and such. So they kind of went back to the old Sox, kind of with the bad habits and whatnot. So they ended up losing the series, unfortunately. Sid, what do you think? I mean, they go 2-4 in their 6-game West Coast trip, and yeah, well, 2-7 I should say, because they did have 2-5 I should say, because they did play 4 in Seattle and lost 3 out of 4. But Sid, what do you think about the Sox and their West Coast trip?
Well, Tommy Pham is about that light where it comes to taking up for his teammates and starting fights, but playing the field, not so much. But I'll start off with the good. Eric Fedde pitched his butt off, 6 strikeouts and 6 shutout innings on Saturday. The White Sox actually looked like a real baseball team, knocking out 4 home runs. Paul DeYoung is definitely asking to get traded. He will by July 31st. Corey Lee should be your full-time catcher. I know Max Stassi was supposed to be the backup catcher. He's out with an injury for the rest of the year, so there goes that play. So that's why Martin Maldonado is here. But Friday's game was ugly to watch. I didn't even watch. I saw the highlights. That was enough for me. And of course, yesterday, Drew Sharp, the rookie pitcher that was acquired in last year's trade deadline, he looked like a rookie. Lakina, 7 earned runs given up in 3 and a third innings, 5 walks, no strikeouts. He looked great in his debut last week. Excuse me, against the Seattle Mariners, but he didn't have it yesterday. The rest of the team didn't have it yesterday. And that's unfortunate. We're going to say the same things about the Sox this year, because we could talk about injuries all we want to, but when we have a lack of talent and guys who are trying to find places in the major leagues, this kind of stuff is going to happen.
Yeah, Thorpe give up those a couple of home runs. It kind of started to open the floodgates, if you will, for the Diamondbacks to take that series. So at least the Sox will, they'll have some home cooking, so they'll be back home. I don't know if, depending on how you look at it, that's a good or a bad thing if you're a White Sox fan. So they do play the Astros, and starting tomorrow. We'll get to them in a second, because they have the Houston has their own issues. Sorry, Brandon. I hope you're not watching this.
I know he's in our chat. Yeah, hello to you, Brandon. We'll get to your Astros in a minute.
Yeah, we will. So let's get to the rest of the MLB. We'll start in the AL. The Yankees lose 2 out of 3 to the Red Sox, including they gave up 9 stolen bases last night. I kind of teased our buddy Twan Staley. I'm like, dude, you're like 12 games out of first place. So I guess you win 2-3 against the Yankees. I guess that you can always take a crowning to that. But I know there are a couple games out of the wild card too. So it's not like you guys are completely out of it. But it's not like y'all going to win the division. So I guess. Just not a good series for the Yankees, and look, it happens. And I know, like I said, I know Red Sox fans want to kind of harp on that, but I mean, look, even the Dodgers have had their issues, so I'm not too worried about the Yankees at this moment.
Yeah, Cutter Crawford, the starter from last night for the Red Sox, had a great game. 6 innings pitched, 9 strikeouts, one walk, gave up 3 earned runs, and gave up 3 hits as well. And the Boston Red Sox, even though they did put up some runs in the bottom of that 7th inning, but before then, the Yankees had the bases loaded. The bullpen from the Red Sox gave up no runs, left the bases loaded for the Yankees, and the Red Sox took advantage after that. So the offense for the Red Sox picked up this weekend. Carlos Rodon, former White Sox pitcher, we talked about how he's turned his season around for the Yankees after having a bad year last year. He got roughed up on Saturday in front of a Fox national audience. So like you said, Lakina, if you're a Yankees fan, it's nothing too much to worry about. Yes, will this series win by the Red Sox turn their season around? Well, we'll all find out together, because they've been an up and down team all year. And that's why they have the record they have. But the Yankees are still one of the top 2 teams in baseball. I wouldn't be too concerned about this. So we'll see what happens with both teams going forward. But the Boston Red Sox took advantage of the Yankees' mistakes these last 2 nights.
Yeah, that the other bad. And they had to do Luis Gilly. They had to face him, so that's probably another reason why they were able to, make the most of that series. Maybe the Yankees get a back end guy. So we'll see what happens there. Now, Baltimore, they start their series tomorrow against them. They did win 2 out of 3 against Philadelphia, and they just hammered Philadelphia last night, and it was just it was kind of like an offensive clinic, I guess. Easily their worst they got 4 home runs off Zach Wheeler, easily his worst outing this year. So take 2 out of 3 in that series, to gear up for that series against the Yankees. So yeah, it'll be interesting. But that was an entertaining series. Well, the Friday series was actually pretty entertaining, but the rest of it was all Baltimore.
Yeah, the thing that I'm concerned with the Baltimore Orioles is their starting pitcher, and of course, Kyle Bradish, who we talked about on this show for the last week or so, and he got injured in his last start. He's going to be on the 15-day injury list with a strained right UCL. Remember, Mr. started with the UCL Aquina. He's out for the year now, so hopefully that's not the case with Kyle Bradish for Baltimore. We'll see what happens with that. Of course, they have John Means, who threw the no-hitter a couple of years ago. No relation to Kyle Means of Warmia, by the way. But John Means, who threw the no-hitter at Seattle a couple of years ago, he's out for the year. So their starting rotation is their depth is tested right now. So Grayson Rodriguez, who we talked about too on the last couple of shows, he picked up the win on Saturday. Of course, their veteran Corbin Burns, who they traded for from Milwaukee in the offseason, he picked up the win yesterday. 6 innings pitched, 7 strikeouts, even though he gave up 7 hits. But like you mentioned, Lakina, with the offense of Baltimore, it came up big yesterday. Gunnar Henderson, you're probably next to Stephen Kwan of the Cleveland Guardians, the best leadoff hitter in baseball. Of course, you talk about Cedric Mullins, you talk about Adley Rutschman, and Anthony Santander, their stud right fielder. Baltimore has the balance right now. They just at the trade deadline. I heard someone say this earlier today. At the trade deadline, they need another starter for depth purposes because they cannot afford to have anyone else when they start rotation go down.
Yeah, but a good showing by Corbin Burns in that Saturday game. He's the first pitcher in the modern era with at least 5 innings pitched, 3 runs allowed or fewer, and 3 walks allowed or fewer. These are his first 14 starts with any team. So he's been, like you said, with the pitching. But hopefully, maybe they'll trade for another starter. Who knows? So we'll see what happens with Baltimore. We're going to the Guardians. Speaking of the Guardians, they lose 2 out of 3 to Toronto. Is Toronto starting to kind of figure things out a little bit? I know Biggio, being DFA, and now he's with the Dodgers. Now you got to think that they're starting to kind of woke up with the Blue Jays. And as far as Cleveland's concerned, Cleveland they're definitely flawed. So it's gonna be interesting to see. Now, luckily for them, they're playing the bad AL Central, so that's why they, the Twins and the Royals haven't really made any inroads. We'll get to them in a second, but right now, I think you gotta be feeling not too anxious if you're Cleveland, but still, I mean, this is a tough series to lose.
Yeah, they almost had that comeback yesterday, but it was halted short by the Blue Jays. So for Toronto, like you said, Lakina, if they don't turn around here quickly, you're going to see more guys on the move, i.e. Bo Bichette, maybe, i.e. Vladimir Guerrero. We'll see. But Toronto's been one of those disappointing teams this year, and we'll see what happens with them. On the other side, like you said, if you're Cleveland, obviously disappointing to lose the series, but you play in the bad AL Central, so you should be able to get it together. But like I said, their offense, Andres Jimenez, Stephen Kwan, who's now back from injury for the last couple of weeks, he's been putting on a clinic. Of course, Jose Ramirez is, as I said before, and I'll say it again, he's my top 3 candidate for AL MVP next to Juan Soto and Aaron Judge.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's definitely up there. So I hope we can keep it going. So we'll see what happens with the Guardians now. The Royals, unfortunately, I mean, they lose their series to the Dodgers. The Dodgers have a big loss. We'll get to that in a bit here. But yeah, tough loss in the series for them at Dodger Stadium. They were shut out 3-0 yesterday, and you thought that maybe the Royals might be right there, but unfortunately, Bobby Wick has been a real Bobby Wick Jr. I should say he's been very solid.
Bobby!
Yeah, but unfortunately, the rest of the team, the pitching hasn't been very good, and I know, they gave up they did get a grand slam from Melendez So that's that kind of helped them, in that Saturday game. They were able to beat the Dodgers there, but unfortunately, they weren't able to capitalize, and they lost the series.
Yeah, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, the rookie starting pitcher for the Dodgers, left Saturday's game with a forearm tightness, and he's been placed on the IL. So we'll see what happens with that. The Dodgers, as we told you, they've been challenged with the health in their starting rotation this year in various times. So we'll see what happens with that. But that was the only reason why the Dodgers lost that game on Saturday, because Yamamoto was pitching good until he left the game early with that forearm injury. So we'll see what happens with that. As I said with Kansas City, I kind of like how they play Lakina. But as I said before, as the schedule gets tougher, we're going to see what they're made of. They only won one game in their 4-game series loss at home to the Yankees. I know they picked up one game in Los Angeles against the Dodgers, but if you want to be considered a playoff team via the wild card, because I do not see them winning the AL Central, they got to start beating some of these better teams, and they haven't proven that yet. And their road so far this week, they only won 2 games this week. They're 2-5 in their last 7 games since the stretch started this time last week. So they got to turn it around if they want to be considered a playoff team.
It's gets tougher for them. We'll get to that in a bit here as the Second City Sports. Sports Chicago, Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown with you, talking Diamond here, staying in the AL Central. Now the Twins have won 5 in a row. Granted, okay, 4 of those wins were against the Athletics. They did win a 4-gamer, but even still, if you're in Minnesota, if you want to try at least be right there with Baltimore and maybe even with Texas and Summit, so we'll get to them in a second. They didn't have a good weekend. They need to get these wins, and get these wins. Beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and they've been able to just that. Although they did have to squeak out that win against the A's yesterday, though. So, but again, you'll take the win if you're Minnesota.
Yeah, like I said, it's all about consistent starting pitching with Minnesota. Their bullpen's actually okay, but their offense has to start heating up. And like you said, they did over the weekend against Oakland. Carlos Correa had another multi-home run game yesterday in that first game of that day-night doubleheader. And also, too, you have Byron Buxton, who's starting to play the field again. Remember, the last couple of years, he's been hurt, so he's been primarily there. DH. Of course, you have Carlos Santana. No, not the singer, but you have him there as well with another big bat. So Minnesota's actually okay on offense, but as I said before, I'll say it again. I'm really concentrating on that starting pitcher. Can it be consistent enough to overtake Cleveland? Right now, I don't think so, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're 5.5 back as we're recording this. So we'll see. I mean, look, Minnesota, you never know. I know they do play Cleveland the next couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens there. Now going to the AL West, the Mariners swept the reigning champs, the Rangers. Logan Gilbert struck out 5, preserving that sweep yesterday. And the pitch has been really good. They need that from Gilbert and the rest of that group, and also Tyler Locklear had a couple of home runs during that series as well. So look, I'm not going to sit here and say that Seattle's going to run away with the AL West, but that sweep was huge for them.
Yes, and also too, Julio Rodriguez. Hopefully, we may start to see some signs for him coming out of his early season slump. I heard someone, I forgot who it was on MLB Network last week, talking. I think it was Greg Amsinger. He does a great job on MLB tonight. He says that the Seattle needs a bat. And I kind of agree with him. Yeah. Will it be Pete Alonso? Will it be somebody else? We'll see. But ever since that, they had to squeak out that series win against the White Sox, they've been on fire. In like you said, they carried that momentum, sweeping the defending world champs at home this past weekend.
Yeah, I could tell they weren't very pleased that they basically literally had to scrimp and scram their way through those to take that series against the White Sox. So I think they wanted to kind of make sure that they may have been caught looking ahead to that series against Texas. They may have, but look, they answered the bell sweeping them. So we'll see what happens there. Now, as for Texas, I mean, I don't want to say, like I said, I don't want to say that the M's are going to run away with the AL West, but the Rangers, I know they've had a lot of injuries. We'll see if I think Jacob deGrom is supposed to come back within the next week or two, so hopefully they can give them a spark. I'm not going to talk. Look, this team won for a reason, so I'm not going to. I'm not going to count them out just yet in this division, especially.
Yeah, I'm not going to count them out either. Max Scherzer is supposed to be back soon within the next week or two, so Texas is starting to get healthy. As far as their starting pitching is concerned, their pitching statistics as far as where they're ranked in the American League are second to dead last in baseball as far as their innings, ERA, and things of that nature. But you gotta hope that their health is coming around at the right time because, like you say, Seattle, they're a very good team, but I don't see them run away with this division either. In the Houston Astros, I know they won 2 out of 3. Shout out to you, Brandon. I saw your comment about Verlander, and we'll get to that in a second. But I know the Astros are trying to get back into it. I know they took care of the Tigers at home this weekend after they cut Jose Abreu, but I don't see Seattle run away with this division. If Texas can get healthy, we all know that they have the offense. You know the names by now, but they just got to get healthy with their starting rotation and have some consistency. And what's his face? Former White Sox pitcher Dane Dunning. I saw that game the other day. He got the rod real good, so that's not a good sign.
Yeah, he can't really have those kinds of starts, especially if you're trying to keep up with Seattle, that division. Like I said, hopefully, Scherzer and DeGrom, hopefully them coming back and giving them a spark in that pitching. So we'll see what happens there. Now, Houston, yes, Brandon, we know Houston. Yeah, look, Brandon's gonna be back soon with that neck issue. They won 2 out of 3 against Detroit. They play the White Sox starting tomorrow. I mean, I'm kind of, like I said, I don't want to count Houston, but yeah, Houston's just need to be consistent, kind of in the same boat as Texas.
Yeah, Yordan Alvarez had the former 2019 AL Rookie of the Year. He had a good series over the weekend against the Tigers. I talked about Kyle Tucker, the future AL MVP candidate. Jose Altuve is the spark plug for that offense. So I know they had injuries to their starting pitching. Now with Justin Verlander, it seems like he's been pitching forever, Lakina, and time flies by fast, especially with him. But just like last year where they got away with it, they took the division away from Texas on the last day of the season. They're going to have some offense. Again, the question is who's going to be their first baseman going forward between now and the rest of the season. And they just got to put some consistency together. Now, Blanco, who pitched, got the win last Saturday, he was the one that pitched the no-hitter early in the year against Toronto. Mm-hmm. He carried a no-hitter until, I believe, the 7th inning before the Tigers finally scored. But he's the only one you could trust in that starting rotation right now for Houston.
Yeah, he's been one of the more consistent pitchers there. So, I mean, Houston, he needs some help, though, so he can't do it all by himself. It's kind of similar to what Show is doing with the Cubs. He's been kind of like the one consistent pitcher that they have. So, hopefully, we can get it going there. Hopefully, Verlander can kind of get back into his routine. So we'll see what happens in that AL West. Now going to the NL, look, we know the Phillies, they had their struggles in Baltimore. I'm not worried. If you're a Phillies fan, you shouldn't be worried. I mean, look, Baltimore is one of the top teams in baseball. You may see them again later this year, maybe. We'll see. It's still a long ways to go before that happens. But even still, I mean, look, I know Zach Wheeler got rocked yesterday, but you know what? Look, it happens. And I know Fleet Week was going on, so they had a lot of flyovers over there in Baltimore. But I mean, look, it happens. Like, I'm not gonna. I know Rob Thompson got tossed during that game yesterday. Yeah, a little frustration, but I think you should relax. I think Philly fans should just relax, folks.
You just took everything out my mouth. I was going to say about Philadelphia. These things happen. These slumps happen, but the key is just to be consistent, not have these types of games which creates long losing streaks. And so Philadelphia, I think, will be fine.
Yes, they will. Now Atlanta, they need to kind of get it going there if they want to keep up with Philadelphia in that NL East. And so for me, I think if with all the injuries they've had, they did win 2 out of 3 against the Rays, so maybe that could jumpstart something for them. Unfortunately, Waldrop, their rookie right-hander, is now in the IL, so injuries are mounting for the Braves. So hopefully they can get it going. They went 2 out, like I said, they won 2 out of 3 against Tampa, but they need to get it going here.
Don't forget about Michael Harris III. He's the latest Braves outfielder to go down with an injury as well. He left the game, I believe, it was on Saturday with the left hamstring pull. So it's challenging for the Braves. What you thought that the offense was going to turn the corner, and they're getting used to without playing without Ronald Acuna Jr. Another injury happens, so these are challenging times for the Braves. Now, can they get a big bat at the trade deadline? I don't know because they don't have many prospects left. We'll see, but it'll be great if they get another starting pitcher in there.
Yeah, that would be huge for that they can, maybe even another hit or two. I guess so. We'll see what happens there. Now the Mets have won 5 in a row. They won, I think like 14 their last like 18. So I don't know if it might be they
You're
might have
messy
done.
Mets.
Yeah, the Mets as I call them. They might be in too big of a hole to make a move in that division. Maybe they can make it. Maybe they can make a move for the wild card spot. But yeah. And I know that Pete Alonso's name's been floating around there as potential trade bait for the Mets. So what do you think? Can they get it? Can they keep it up?
I don't know. But I was watching that game yesterday, Lakina, and shout out to the good folks at SNY. I know the game was on WPIX yesterday in New York, but the SNY produces those games. Guess what statistic popped up yesterday during the telecast? I don't think you caught this, but
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Guess how many walks have that the Mets pitching staff has given up with the bases loaded this year? No googling.
What? Oh, no, I'm not googling. One.
Okay, guess how many walks the Mets have given up this year with the bases loaded?
With the bases loaded?
Yeah.
2?
Nope.
1?
No. I'll give you one last guess.
I know it's not. I know it can't be 0. I know we'll say
No.
like 4 or 5. I guess
12, which leads Major League Baseball.
Oh my lord!
Yeah, and the Mets had them gave San Diego a chance to come back yesterday. The Mets were up 7-1, and the Padres were coming back, but the Mets had an explosion in terms of runs the last 2 innings to pick up that 11-6 win. As you mentioned, the sweep of the San Diego Padres. I'm not going to get into San Diego. I'm not going to repeat myself again about them. They're a mediocre team. The Mets, maybe they're too deep of a hole to climb out of, but it looks like they have things turned around in the short term. But did you see on Wednesday, Lakin, they had Grimace that you remember that?
Yes, I saw that.
The one of those McDonald's mascots characters from back in the day. He threw out the first pitch, and someone posted up the Mets haven't lost since. So maybe it's not that trumpet idiot with Edwin Diaz coming out as the close. You make sure try out the Grimace.
They've won like 7 in a row since that pitch.
5
so,
in a row.
5
Since they threw out the first pitch last Wednesday.
Yeah, they have 14 their last 18 they've won. So maybe it is Grimace. Who knows? But it'll be interesting to see if they can keep it up. And maybe it's just a weird fluky thing. So we'll see what happens there. Now we're up against, so we got to go this really quick. Now going to the Central. Milwaukee won 2 out of 3 against the Reds. But the big news was on Saturday over at Valley Sports in Wisconsin, where Mr. Snoop Dogg took a visit to the booth, and of course, Eli De La Cruz's great catch and throw shocked Mr. Snoop Dogg and for shizzle as they look. Anytime you get to hear Snoop Dogg, call a game, no matter what it is, it just makes everything better.
I think so too. Remember, he did the LA Kings hockey game for a few minutes several years ago. He did a Lakers game. He commentated on the Lakers game right before the pandemic. I would say this, Lakina, does Fox have the Super Bowl this year?
Yes, they do.
You would think with alternate broadcasting, which is going on in all 4 major sports. I know Kevin Hart is doing it for the NBA Finals for ESPN2. You would think the Fox would do it for Snoop Dogg, because I don't think it'll be too long before one of these networks should take a chance on him doing some guest commentating, because he's really very smart, very knowledgeable about sports. So, and he's very entertaining. People love him, regardless what your personal opinion is about his music. That's a whole another conversation for a whole nother time. But he is an entertainer. He has that personality that draws people in, and he gets it. So I wish one of these networks would take a shot on him for like an alternate broadcast. I'm all for it. And I have another deal about him coming up next hour. We'll put a bookmark on that. But as far as the game telecast, I think Fox should look into doing something with him during the game, during the Super Bowl. At least have an alternate broadcast based around him.
Remember, he's going to be doing the Olympics too for NBC. They've already he's going to be doing it for mostly Peacock. Could be streaming it there. Going to do a lot of the comedy for some of the various big sports that comes on prime time. So they're way ahead of you on that. Now it'll be interesting. Like I said, him and Brady in the booth might be interesting. I
would love to see it.
I know Kevin Burkhardt might love that. I know he loves 90s and 80s and 90s rap. So that'd be fun. That'd be pretty fun. Real quick, of course, the Padres, of course, like you said, they were swept by the Mets. So I don't know what else you can say about the Padres at this point. But yeah, so we're just see what happens with that. Now I know we're up against it, so we gotta go do the scheduling real quick. Here for this week in MLB, you've got Cincinnati and Pittsburgh starting their series. That'll be on FS1 at 5:30. San Diego and Philadelphia, they kick off their series. Philadelphia hoping to bounce back from that series loss at Toronto. St. Louis and Miami, they've been up and down talking about Miami. Boston, Toronto, we'll see if Toronto can keep it going. Detroit and Atlanta, that should be interesting. And the Mets, so speaking of the Mets, they play Texas, so we'll see if they can kind of keep up their going. And San Francisco, of course, talk about the Cubs. Hopefully the Cubs can try to get it going here in this last part of their homestand.
The rest of the series that will start tonight, you have the LA Dodgers at Colorado to take on the Rockies. Milwaukee will start their West Coast road show. They'll take on the LA Angels. The rest of the series that will start tomorrow, of course, the Houston Astros will travel to Chicago to take on the White Sox. The St. Louis Cardinals will visit Miami to take on the Marlins. The Lakina Seattle Mariners will take a trip to Ohio to face the Cleveland Guardians. Arizona will visit our nation's capital to take on the Washington Nationals. Baltimore and New York Yankees will get it on tomorrow from the Bronx. That game will be seen on TBS at 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. You mentioned Red Sox and Blue Jays. Tampa Bay will travel to the Twin Cities to take on the Minnesota Twins. And the Kansas City Royals will continue their West Coast road trip. They'll visit Oakland.
And that is your schedule for this week in MLB.
Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 straight ahead as you're listening to the Monday edition of Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. We have a Game 5 of the NBA Finals to preview tonight between the Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks. We had a close call in the U.S. Open Golf Championships yesterday. Sports media news and an interesting segment we call Old School TV Monday. You guys will love this one. If you didn't know, now you know. Sound like Kurt Franklin. Well, kind of. That and a whole lot more. Is hour number 2 is straight ahead as you listen to Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
This year, my mom got me the perfect.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, you're so...
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Move it! Yes, sir!
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports on Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeem McGee, which is she. I am Sydney Brown. That's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You found me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter, X, and he's going in the IG.
We have less than an hour left of this extravaganza we could call a sports talk radio show. If you have any questions or comments for us as we talk NBA Finals previewing Game 5 between the Celtics and Mavericks, and we'll do that hockey later on in this segment as well, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments to the comment section. We'll get them up on the screen for you. And just a daily reminder, you can catch Sports Zone Chicago live in the living color or Roku TV.
All right, Sid. Let's get to the finals here. Game 5 is tonight. We'll see what if Boston can do. Well, we'll get to all the weird parallels that people want to try to connect in a second. But yeah, I mean, look, Dallas did what they're supposed to do. I mean, look, they just hammer Boston 122-184. I think that's the highest deficit for any NBA Finals game. Give or take a few points. Luka, was just, solid all around. He had 29 points, 21 points from Mr. Kyrie Irving, but also they had a lot of help from the bench. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 15 points, which was the most he's had this playoffs. I mean, one of those things where, look, Dallas did what they're supposed to do. I mean, they shot the ball well from 3. They shot about 40%. So, then as Luka and Kyrie have the most have the most points by a front court tandem in any NBA postseason. Go figure on that. You have your own history with that one. So, Sid, do you think they can try to force a Game 6 tonight, or will it be a gentleman's sweep, as they say?
It's going to be tough now. Since you go back to Boston, referring to the Dallas Mavericks. Remember the last time Dallas was in Boston around this time last week? You get blown out in Game 1. You had a decent start in Game 2, but the Celtics turned it on in that second half, and you couldn't shoot the ball well, especially from 3-point range. What happened last Friday night was this: the Dallas Mavericks played a full 48-minute game. They shot the ball well overall at 50%, 40% from 3. Remember, one of my keys to the series, Lakina, for Dallas to win this series was to not give up offensive rebounds. They were horrible at that in the first 2 games of the series. It was a moot point in Game 3. Game 4, Dallas had 13 offensive rebounds themselves as a team, while the Celtics have 4. That was also key. And they forced Boston to turn the ball over 14 times. The Dallas Mavericks basically took care of the ball for the entire game, but they forced 14 Celtics turnovers, which led to endless baskets for Dallas. Like we said, who was going to step up to help out Kyrie and Luka? You mentioned Tim Hardaway Jr. And not only myself, that's going to make our new friend of the show, Montez Al of AM 1270 Detroit Sports Right Radio, happy, because he's been begging for Jason Kidd to play Tim Hardaway Jr. I hope he was happy last Friday afternoon. But Lakina, Dallas has to bring that same energy tonight, even though it is a road game. The pressure is still on Boston because they're at home. They're expected to win this game. They're expected to dominate. They have outside of last Friday, they dominated this series up to this point. So the pressure is still on Boston. Dallas usually had to go in there, play carefree. Luka Doncic stop crying to the referees, play a little defense, don't tire yourself out before the fourth quarter. And everybody else like Derek Lively and Green, step up, do your role. PJ Washington, same thing. Derrick Jones Jr., same thing. Know your role, contribute here and there offensively, play defense, and I think you'll be okay. Of course, it's going to be tough because you're down 3-1, but the pressure is all on Boston. Dallas should just play carefree tonight and see what happens.
Well, the parallels, as I said, of course, Boston's area code is 617. It was 16 years ago to the day when Boston last won the NBA championship. That was with the big 3, with Paul Pierce, Rajon Rondo, and Ray Allen. So, the parallels there, people are trying to say it is June 17th. So, 617. So I guess the parallels, people want to make those connections. So if you're Jason Tatum, if you're Jaylen Brown, you want to try to end this tonight, and look, you're doing your home floor, so that should help give you guys some motivation. Now, guys like Al Horford's gonna maybe he have one of those big games. He only scored 3 points in that loss. True Holiday, he needs to step up a little bit more. Derek White needs to, both of them had their struggles in game 4, I should say, as well. Xavier Tillman, who was a big reason why the Boston is in this position, with the clinching spot. He needs to get it going as well. Cornette needs to be pretty solid. So look, we talked about Peyton Pritchard. So we talked about the Celtics and of course Tatum and Brown, but it's really the back end guys got to step up if they want to try to win it. Though Dallas is playing with house money at this point, so you want to kind of get to the point where you want to kind of put this away and you'll be celebrating tonight.
You listen to Second City Sports Zone Chicago. Sila Keenan here with you, talking NBA Finals. Do you have any questions or comments for us? Will the Boston Celtics wrap it up tonight, or can the Dallas Mavericks extend this to a 6-game back in Dallas on Wednesday? We'd like to hear what you have to say by going to our comment section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get the up on the screen for you. Lakina, I want to touch up on coaching. I heard James Worthy say this many years ago. He said that in each playoff series, the first 2 games are filling out patterns. You can watch all the film you want before the games, during practice, before a series, but by game 3, each team knows each other's plays. It's all about matchups and adjustments, and it's all about execution at this point. We're at game 5. I want to ask you, what coaching adjustments, if any, can Jason Kidd of the Mavericks make prior to tonight's game?
Yeah, I think if you're Jason Kidd, you want to try to kind of get it, try to see if you can kind of get it going here for outside of Luka and Kyrie. Look, Kyrie needs to do his thing. He needs to help out Luka. So it's gonna get a little bit interesting to see how kind of that sort of shakes out for them. Because if you want to try to jump on it like you did on Thursday and see if they can, or Friday, I should say, Thursday, I should say, you should see if you can kind of get it going and see if they can maybe try to pour it on them. Not let that crowd at TD Bank Garden, not let them be a factor. So I think that's going to be the key if you're Dallas, and especially since your back's still against the wall. So you want to try to get it going with your kid. But if you're Coach Mazzulla for the Celtics, you want to try to jump on that early. Try to kind of make Luka force Luka to make some dumb shots, not so good shots. Same with Kyrie. Try to make sure their bench is a factor. So it's gonna be interesting to see this push pull in here and see how this kind of shakes out, because this is gonna be the key on I think the first quarter and a half is gonna determine how this game is gonna go. If it's close, okay, fine. It'll come down to the wire to the fourth quarter. If one side either or has jumps on the other side early, it could be a long night for the squad. So you kind of have to see how all this goes.
I want to touch on the Joe Mazzulla side for a second, Lakina, and how would you defend? How would I defend Luka Doncic for tonight? Every time he crosses half court, I will double him. If he gets it in the post, I will double him. So far in this series, with the exception of game 4, he's been struggling. I'm talking about shooting from the outside. We all know that he's great when he gets the ball in the post and drives the ball inside the paint. But if and when he brings up the ball at the timeline, I will double him. When he gets in the post, I double him. Outside of Kyrie, I know PJ Washington, he's had a great playoff series. Not this series in particular, but he's had a great playoffs overall so far. Him and Daniel Gafford, they haven't been as big impact players as they previously had been in the previous 3 rounds for the Dallas Mavericks. We all know that Dallas is not a great 3-point shooting team. They shot the ball great from there at 40% last Friday, but I would double Luka as much as I can, force Dallas to shoot the ball from the outside, because they're not a great 3-point shooting team. And for the Celtics, as far as they're concerned, do not give up any offensive rebounds. They've been doing a great job throughout these playoffs, not giving it too many opportunities to their opponents as far as offensive rebounds are concerned. They gave up 13, as I mentioned last Friday. I'm talking about Boston as far as offensive rebounds. We all know that they can shoot the ball. I'm talking about Boston, but don't give up too many offensive rebounds tonight.
Yeah, that's going to be the key here. So what do you think happens tonight? You think the Celtics are going to be celebrating number 18, or will this be going back to Dallas for game 6?
I had the Celtics winning this series in 7. Obviously, it's going to be in 5 tonight. I think it's going to be closer than what people expect. Dallas will play hard, but I think Boston just has the intangibles to pull this one out. You have Drew Holiday, who's one of the best defenders in the league. You have Jaylen Brown, who I think has been the outside of Game 4, he's been the best player these last 2 games. Jason Tatum, I know he had a bad game on Friday, just last Friday, just like the rest of the team did with 15 points. But I think Boston is going to come out tonight. Like I said earlier, the pressure is on them. They want to wrap this up. They've been the better team again versus Dallas in this series. I think they'll win it tonight.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll do just enough to win the game. I'm talking about Boston, and I think they want to look. They want to do the little parallel 6-17 thing. So maybe they'll do it tonight, and hopefully maybe Brown and Tatum will have a big night, and they'll be celebrating number 18 in Boston.
I have a question for you regarding the Celtics before we move on. Let's be honest here. Jason Tatum, still a top 5, top 10 player in the league, correct?
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't had a great series in terms of offense, but Jaylen Brown has stepped it up these last couple of games. Drew Holiday has made his presence known both offensively and defensively, especially in the first 2 games of the series. If you had to give out an MVP trophy right now, assuming Boston wins tonight, or if it happens in Game 6, or heaven forbid gets to Game 7 in their case, who do you think is the NBA Finals MVP before we tip it off to Game 5 tonight?
Yeah, I think it's probably gonna be Brown. I think Brown. We've had various guests that said, yeah, I think Brown will probably get that MVP. And like you said, he's been the most consistent. Look, he had a bad game on Thursday, on Friday, I should say, and a lot of people have. So it'll be interesting to see if it kind of look. I think they'll be motivated. I think both he and Taylor will be motivated. So we'll see. I mean, it should be interesting. But I think it's gonna be very close. But I think the Celtics should be able to pull it off late, and they'll be celebrating number 18.
I agree that I think Drew Holiday will take a couple of votes away, but if Jaylen Brown has a big monster game tonight, I think he'll wrap up the series MVP. Assuming that Boston wins it tonight. Game time will be at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch that game on ABC. You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakina here with you. Let's do that hockey for the next couple of minutes. And the Stanley Cup Finals is still going to continue after last Saturday's win by the Edmonton Oilers 8-1. They snapped, as the kids would say. The first 2 games of the series was dominated by the physical play of the Florida Panthers and the great goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky. But Connor McDavid and crew, they woke up last Saturday, as I mentioned, scoring 8 goals.
Yeah, welcome to the Stanley Cup Final, Connor McDavid. I mean, we've been looking forward to this last couple of games here. Look who finally decided to show up. There you go. They just kind of poured on him as Jimmy Johnson, not the former NASCAR driver, but the Hall of Fame coach Jimmy Johnson said when he was at the U Miami. Pour it on him and don't let him up. And they didn't jump on them early. 3 goals in the first period. One of those was from Mr. McDavid. He assisted a couple of the goals, and that's what you need if you want to. I know Tarasenko had a kind of broke that tie, with the 2-0, but it was all Edmonton after that. So yeah, I mean, look, this is what you need. You need guys like McDavid and Draisaitl to step up and. Look, hopefully, all you need is one. Look, we've seen it happen before. Teams coming back from 3-1 down to win the cup. So, like I said, I'm not gonna say it's gonna happen here, but there's still a chance if you're Edmonton. But you got to go back to Florida. The cup's gonna be there. So we'll just see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, a couple of key statistics to point out here. Penalty minutes. Florida had 12. Edmonton had 8. So Florida, even though they out hit Edmonton 49-29, they were the undisciplined team. And you mentioned Edmonton were the aggressors from start to finish, something that we did not see in the first 3 games of the series. I know the power play has been null and void for both of these teams in this series, but Edmonton was 1 of 6 on the power play, while Florida was 0 for 4 on the power play. As we said before, goaltending and taking advantage with the man advantage will be the key factors in the series for both teams. And Edmonton did have one power play goal, as I mentioned last Saturday, in terms of their win. The shorthanded goals, Edmonton had one, Florida had none, but those are a rarity, especially during the playoffs. So, as we said it as we say all the time in the playoffs, it's all about taking advantage of the other team's mistakes and don't turn the puck over. And we've been saying all series long, it's been Edmonton has been turning the puck over, not Florida, but it was the opposite last Saturday with the takeaways. Edmonton had 14 takeaways. Edmonton had 14 takeaways. Florida with 8. So, and even though Florida has ranched it up with their physical play throughout this playoff run, it was Edmonton. They were the more disciplined team.
Yeah, and also takeaways were the key too. I mean, Edmonton had 14 takeaways against Florida's. They only had 8. So the shorthanded goal, that shorthanded goal was key, and I think that kind of started the route was on, as they say, after that shorthanded goal. So we'll see what happens. So I think if for me, as this the series goes back to just outside Miami. I'm looking forward to seeing what it'll be interesting to see. Bobrovsky, I know this is probably definitely his worst game. These playoffs. So you gotta wonder. Well, I'm sure. Look, he's a veteran, so I'm sure he'll be back being focused. And if you're Edmonton, you want to try to get back and do what you've been doing. Try to get the pressure on them. Try to kind of be a little more aggressive on the inside. That power play, especially to take the penalties. So that's going to be the key here if you're Edmonton. Try to see if you can mirror what you did. Now, it's going to be harder because that place down there is going to be rocking, especially with the company in there. So if you're Edmonton, you want to try to take it one. Look, same thing with Dallas. You got to take it one game at a time. You can't think about game 6. You got to win game 5.
Mm-hmm. Also, too, for I was going to say for Florida too, but for Edmonton, 23-16s in the block shots department. So especially during this time of year, you got to give up your body. You got to get into the corners. You have to play dump and chase because that's we said Florida is a physical team. In Edmonton, we all know they like to run and gun. And when the play is not there, you got to dump and chase into the corners and dig it out of there. In Edmonton, we'll have to do that for a while. So we'll see what happens. And it should be a fun one tomorrow as game 5 will take place from outside in Sunshine, Florida at 7:00 p.m. Central Standard Time on ABC and ESPN Plus. That's tomorrow, game 5 of the Stanley Cup Final. Lakina, Edmonton, like I said, they just got to do the little things. They got to do the dirty work and play disciplined hockey because, like you said before, Florida had clearly their worst game last Saturday night. They were undisciplined. Things fell apart, but Edmonton has to play a tighter game. Stay with Florida. Don't let Florida let them run out of the building. And just wait for the mistake, create the mistakes, and hopefully you can take advantage of them. I still believe that power play is going to be the key. And can you take advantage if Florida starts to turn the puck over again?
Well, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting, like you said. I think trying to being aggressive on the inside and forcing the penalties and see if they can make Florida come from behind like you did it. If you're Edmonton, you want to try to do what you did in game 4, see if they can if Florida bites. If not, I mean, it could end up being a back and forth. It could end up being the overtime goal winner. So we'll see what happens. It should be fun, but yeah, you gotta think Edmonton's gonna be playing with a lot of earnestness. Florida's gonna want to try to end this series. You don't want to go back to Edmonton for game 6. So it'll be interesting to see if they can kind of get it going here. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens tomorrow night.
You're listening to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago City. Lakina here with you. We still have a few minutes left before we have to hit the bottom of the hour break. Lakina, U.S. Open golf. I thought that Patrick Cantlay was going to win. Rory McIlroy, he choked. He did pull the field Mickelson. In all due respect, it was Bryson DeChambeau that came out on top as the winner for 2024 U.S. Open champion.
Yeah, congrats to him. This is the second U.S. Open. If you remember when he won it back in 2020, remember we were in the middle of a pandemic. There was very limited crowds. He didn't have his dad there to help celebrate with him. Mm-hmm. Bless you. And sadly, his dad passed away through diabetes and other medical issues that he had not too long after he had won the U.S. Open. And it was back and forth from jump. I mean, DeChambeau had hit a first in the first few holes. But then, Rory got hot, and then, it was kind of back and forth for a little bit. They were, he was up by a shot, and Rory was back, or Rory was up by a shot. He pulled back. And it wasn't until those last couple of holes. I mean, McIlroy, he had hit, I think, like right near the greens. He had hit every putt up until 15. After that, things started falling off. He missed easy 3-footer on 16, and then he had that bogey on 18. And DeChambeau, to his credit, I think he saw what was going on. He saw, I'm going for it. And look, he got in there, got within. He had, he kind of an error tee, got in the bunker, and then by that third shot, he was able to get it on the green within, I think, about 5 or 6 feet, and he was able to. He knew he needed to hit that par putt to win it. If not, it would have been a playoff. So now he had that par putt. It was pandemonium. He celebrated with his caddy and his friends. He had like 10 or 12 guys over there in his entourage. So that was actually pretty funny. But look, also too, Payne Stewart almost to the day that when Payne Stewart won, the late great Payne Stewart won right there that same course 25 years ago. You had his hat with him the whole time, and he wore it a little bit during his presser, and you could tell by the way he was holding that trophy, he didn't want to let it go. He said this was for his father, and he's been very he's at Live now. We had our girl Christine Mack of KXRB say it on Friday. He's very likable. You saw him out there after he did all the presses and stuff. He was out there signing autographs to the fans. Like the fans were right there with him. You follow him from start to finish. And it's great on social media too. So congrats to him. And look, second U.S. Open in I think 4 years. Good for him.
Yeah, very symbolic. Maybe he's one of the new faces of golf. Could he have that Tiger Woods effect to a lesser extent? We shall see. I'm not going to ask how Tiger did because I know he didn't play on Saturday or definitely did not play yesterday. I'm not going to lie to you, Lakina. I kind of expected, but you want that one more, almost like what LeBron James is going through right now. You want that one more major title for Tiger Woods before he really decides to hang it up. We all know that he's getting older. Injuries have come upon him these last few years, and it happens to the best, though. We saw it to a lesser extent with Michael, but we've seen it with the late, great Kobe Bryant. We saw it with other great athletes from all the other major sports. So for me, you want to see Tiger win one more major before he really decides to hang it up, because you don't want to see him really struggle just to stay in a tournament and not have anything left.
Yeah, I mean, he hit that great he had that great birdie in the opener, and then things just fell off after that. He missed the cut badly. He was like near the bottom, and you could tell that knees and his back, and unfortunately, of course, he's getting up there too. He's going to be turning like 48, I think, later this year. So that's another thing that's kind of helping too. Father Time's on the feet. I mean, they got the U.S. the Open Championships. They come up in Royal Troon in a couple of weeks, in about a month. Like I said, in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be interesting to see how kind of all that sort of shakes out, because that's going to be the thing here. I know he's going to want to try to get one more major to see if he can kind of get it back going, and perhaps maybe before he goes to. Whether he goes, does television or does, goes to the Champions Tour, which I can't really see him doing that on a full-time basis. He's got enough money, so I'm sure.
Right.
I think his daughter is going to be a senior in high school in the fall. I know his son Charlie has been playing very well in some of the tournaments he's been playing.
I've heard.
So I know he's going to want to try to mentor him. So we'll see. I mean, maybe Tiger's priorities have changed, but we'll see what happens.
Do you think we're ever going to see him in a seniors tour? I don't see that, but you never know. But as of right now, I don't see it.
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, he might play a couple of the big tournaments there. They got the Senior Open Championship. They got the Senior U.S. Open, so he might play in those just to kind of get the sponsorship going, to kind of get the buzz going. And of course, I know there were rumors that maybe Phil's not going to do it because of all this stuff going on with him and Liv. So that's not going to happen. So they're gonna need something to kind of get it going here. So we'll see. But he might play like a couple of tournaments just for for favors purposes. But I don't see him doing it on a full-time basis. I just don't see it.
A future Hall of Famer makes his TV booth debut, while another present Hall of Famer may call it quits after next season. We have Old School TV Monday and a whole lot more sports media news and nuggets. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. Sports, Sega City Sports of Sports on Chicago. The Monday edition continues right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class. These colored pencils, too. These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you. Your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. If you want to follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG, you can do so at SidKid80. Once again, it's SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You follow my Kenny McGee on the Twitter, executes again the IG.
This is our last segment of the show for today. So, if you have any last minute questions or comments for us as we do our grab bag plus old school TV Monday, you can hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or at Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in those questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you.
All right, before we get to sports media news here, if you guys will get a chance, check out Justin Wagner, who is a PGA Tour pro. He's been doing it for a long time. He actually does stuff with the Golf Channel. Check out his reenactment of Bryson DeChambeau's game-winning bunker shot to give him a chance to win the second U.S. Open. And guess who comes in to kind of helps him out, try to help him reenact it? Bryson DeChambeau himself. So it's already been. I think it's already like 4 million views since it aired on Golf Channel last night. So if you guys get a chance, please check it out. Justin Wagner. I'm sure just go on the Golf Channel's social media. They got it right there for you. It was beyond hilarious. It's so sweet and heartwarming.
Yeah, please check that out. Lakina actually sent this to me since we are going back to football now. I know the UFL had its championship game last night in St. Louis. And one Mr. Tom Brady, who's going to make his NFL on Fox debut this fall with Kevin Burkhardt. He paid a visit to Joe Klatt and Kurt Menefee yesterday. Tell us about it.
Yeah, he only did like a couple of series. I was kind of turning back and forth, from that and the U.S. Open. Congrats to the Birmingham Stallions. They won. This is their third straight. Well, it's now the UFL. It's not the USFL. The USFL and the XFL merged, so now they're the UFL. Congrats to Skip Holtz and Adrian Martinez, who Brady presented with the MVP, and Brady got a chance to talk both series. Neither team really did too much. The scoring really didn't get going until after to the second half, but he actually sounded pretty good from what I can tell. So of course he's probably gonna end up being good at this too. But I think he sounded really good. I mean, he wasn't too nervous. He kind of got to go. He seemed like a natural on there. Like I said, again, a very small sample size, but he sounded pretty good to me.
Yeah, I saw that clip that you sent me. He did sound good, and like you said, just don't beat it over the head with people. Keep it simple, keep it informative. I know, like I'm doing right now, he was using his hands a lot. I know that's what many people in the broadcasting industry teach you how to use your hands, but you don't have to do it too much, but only when it's necessary. But like you said, as far as his intelligence, his knowledge, he sounded good. So I'm waiting to see what he has in store for us this fall. Is he going to have a little bit of a Tony Romo effect where he's going to try to predict every play, or is he going to sit back and let it watch it, then just break it down all afterwards? I'm waiting to see what kind of style that he has, because each color analyst and each play-by-play announcer has their all unique, distinct styles. I want to see how Brady can develop that when it comes to the covering the NFL this season.
Yeah, I think prep won't be a problem for him. I mean, I know some people will say that he'll definitely be ahead of Romo in that department, the prepping parts. So, but yeah, I think like you said, it'll be just see I can't see him doing the whole they're gonna do a zone read or this guy's gonna go option. Like I don't see him doing it. I think he's gonna be more like the traditional play-by-play guy to do kind of like more the wait till afterwards. Here's a breakdown of here's how well I'll say Dak Prescott because their first game is a Dallas game. Breaks down, hopefully gets his ball to CeeDee Lamb and all that. So I think that's going to be a style that's going to more fit him, not the Romo style, which he predicts every play. I can't see him doing that.
Yeah, like I said, Tom Brady will make his regular season debut Sunday, September 8th, when the Dallas Cowboys will travel to Cleveland to take on the Browns in the Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader, America's Game of the Week, Week 1, as part of the Fox opening kickoff weekend doubleheader. Another Hall of Famer, Lakina, will decide to call it quits after next year. I'm talking about basketball Hall of Famer Charles Barkley, because, of course, he started with TNT after he retired for the 1999-2000 season. He's been with Turner for a quarter century. I can't believe it, Lakina. I can't believe it. A quarter century, almost half our lives, as far as some of us are concerned. But he's going to call it quits because after next season, because Turner is still they're trying to get in with a smaller package with the NBA. I don't know if that's going to happen, but we all know that NBC and Peacock will take up their slots as far as the NBA coverage starting in 2025. But Charles Barkley decided to call it quits after next season. Do you believe him? I don't.
I mean, you never know with Barkley. I know he's said it before. I think he's been saying this like the last 5 or 6 years that he's probably gonna call it quits. Of course, he ends up changing his mind afterwards. But again, a lot could happen between now and after next season, because remember, they still got one more season of this. So whether or not Turner doesn't get that smaller fourth package, as some of the reports are saying what they're trying to do, I really don't see Barkley going to any of the networks. He probably go to Amazon. I'm sure Amazon's going to throw a lot of money at him to try to at least keep the bulk of that inside the NBA crew together. If not, if Ernie Johnson decides to stay with Turner, as of course they got other sports coming up down the pike. They got the French Open, college football. They're going to do a couple of playoff games and such. But
then they got the Big East too after next season.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So he'll stay with that, but I don't know. I mean, I know he's a grandfather now. He probably doesn't. Yeah, I know he said he wants to kind of pass the torch to guys like Vince Carter, Jamal Crawford, kind of the next generation of NBA.
Draymond Green whenever he decides to quit.
Exactly. NBA All Stars turn broadcasters. I know, like I say, he's a grandfather now. He wants to spend more time with his family. as long as he doesn't go completely nuts with the gambling, he doesn't really need the money. So I can kind of see him. Maybe he is telling the truth. Like I said, like it happens between now and next year. So about this time. So we'll see.
Even if it doesn't get picked up by any other network, he can start his own YouTube channel, or you do something here and there. Like you said, he has an engaging personality. People like him. I know some people might not like the way he says things sometimes, but he's a straight shooter. He's an honest person. He's going to tell it like it is. But I think, and I pretty much know from an educated guess, that TNT is going to have a lot of surprises next year because it's going to be their last year covering the NBA. Hopefully, they have a lot of guest stars. And remember, I said about Snoop Dogg earlier, they should have him for the whole night doing a couple of playoff games next year and doing a couple of regular season games. Have Snoop Dogg in their studio for the whole show inside the NBA. Wherever night it is, it has to be when Steph and LeBron are playing. Maybe they're playing each other, and you have Snoop Dogg in their studio, not just for the pregame show, but for halftime and for the Inside the NBA postgame show for the whole night. I would love to see that. Since TNT's going out with a bang, have one of those Thursdays or Tuesday game, probably Thursday game where Ernie is there. Have Snoop Dogg there for the whole night.
Yeah, that'd be pretty funny though. Yeah, like I said, that would be interesting too. And remember, so you got NBA TV. That where does that go if they don't secure a smaller package? So they got a lot to think about there over at Warner Bros. Discovery. But yeah, I think to be continued at this again. We'll see in about 6 months. Even by the end of the year when the next season starts, we'll see if Barkley still feels the same way, because you never know with him. But yeah, to be continued, as they say with this.
Yeah, as we said before, I'm sure Amazon are going to want some of the news, some of the old folks that covered the NBA for many years. So I'm sure they want to have some new blood as well. Excuse me. NBC is going to want to have some new people. Like you said, Mike Tirico may have something to say about being one of the voices for basketball. Perhaps Noah Eagle, the son of Ian Eagle of CBS and the Brooklyn Nets. He's going to do the games this summer for NBC for basketball. I think he just did the French Open, if I'm not mistaken. If it wasn't, it was the French Open. Okay, thank you. And so I'm assuming he's going to be the number one voice for NBC when they start, not this fall, but the next fall. So, and they're going to have NBC is going to have their own people as far as game analysts and studio shows are concerned. So, like I say, it may not be. It'll probably be slim pickings for Barkley if he doesn't want to go to NBC. Remember the old story that Dick Ebersol, who used to run that station back in the day, he wanted Barkley, but Barkley said no.
Yeah. I remember he was very. I think he threw a lot of money at it too. I think I heard Barkley said, if you ask Mr. Ebersol now, I think he'll confirm it. So, 25 years. He's been doing it that long. When I heard that, like, wait, what? I guess that doesn't make sense. But yeah, like I said, we'll be interested to see what happens here. Look, it'll be interesting to see what happens with some, like you said, we talked about the play-by-play guys. I'm sure Amazon's going to want to get like a Kevin Harlan or an Ian Eagle to do be the top two guys there for their streaming service for the NBA, because CBS is not going to let them go to NBC. So I think if that might be the best place for them, because they're still going to be doing NFL and men's college basketball and of course March Madness. So yeah, they're going to want to try to kind of keep that old guard there. So like I said, NBC will have their own folks to come in and stuff. So we may see a Jalen Rose back there, maybe a Nick Friedel. Or Nick Friedel, perhaps, doing some NBA Insider stuff. So
that's a good call, Lakina. I know that Odyssey picked him up as an NBA Insider for the playoffs. I'd like to see Nick Friedel back on television again. That's a good call. I've been praising Jalen Rose. Hopefully, if he wants to do it again, I said Nick Friedel, good call.
Yeah. So again, to be continued with this as well.
You listen to Second City Sports on Chicago City. Lakina here with you. Let's talk about the WNBA. Lakina, the Chicago Sky and Caitlin Clark are involved in some controversy again. Of course, the Indiana Fever won 91-83 over the Chicago Sky. The Fever are 5-10 on the year. The Chicago Sky have really been struggling lately. Now they're 4-9 on the year. Teresa Weatherspoon, the head coach of the Chicago Sky, she left the press conference after the previous game, which is not a good look. I'm still a big fan of her, so I think she's getting used to the the media coverage, especially here in town. She could take it on the chin. I think she'll be okay. But going back to yesterday, looking at Caitlin Clark got fouled hard again on the back of the head by Angel Reese. I thought it was just a simple hard foul. Of course, the WNBA officials are upgraded to a flagrant foul. I'll let you go off in just a second, but I get it that Caitlin Clark is the meal ticket, and I get it right. She is the star of the WNBA, and many people like yours truly are watching her every move. But can we give credit, for lack of a better term, to Angel Reese as well? She's the other reason why people are watching the WNBA as well. I know Caitlin Clark is the All-American girl, no pun intended, why most people are watching the WNBA that haven't watched before. But can we give a little bit credit to Angel Reese as well in the rivalry that those two had in college? She deserves some of that love as well. Why some people are watching the WNBA a little bit more this year.
Can football season start already? I'm kind of over this. Well, look, it's become kind of a turnoff. Again, I didn't watch the game yesterday. I was watching, like I said, I was watching U.S. Open, and I was watching it was England and Serbia, but they didn't play yet. But there was another game. I think it was Switzerland and Slovenia. I got to make sure I get my Eastern European countries straight. But I mean, okay, here we go again with all the weird, all the silly, hot takes and whatever. I mean, it was a basketball play, flicker one, whatever. I'm tired of everybody, and it's not. And I think Diana Taurasi, to her credit, said this before the season started. It's not her. It's not Caitlin Clark herself. She's been very classy. She's very cordial through all this. It's her fans. Her fans, some of them, have been very interesting, as they say. I know they want to post, they want to call Angel Reese a thug, they want to call this or that. Let's remember, your girl, and to all the Caitlin Clark fans, your girl went 0 for a national championship games. Just saying. Yes, she got her revenge. And yes, since then, it was a total team effort in those games yesterday. So for me, I'm just like, I'm kind of over it. Like, I don't really care anymore. The Liberty beat the Aces over the weekend. Got the revenge there. We may see another rematch between those two teams in the WNBA finals coming up in a couple of months. I'm looking forward to that. I know the Olympic break can't come fast enough for a lot of those ladies.
I was going through social media yesterday. Of course, I was watching baseball yesterday, and I saw that play. Like I said, it was a hard foul, and the WNBA officials called it correctly, but I saw some of the stuff online. I saw Bill Laimbeer trending online for whatever reason. I was like, I hope he didn't pass away, despite what you may feel about him. But many fans were comparing Angel Reese to Bill Laimbeer. Remember, Bill Laimbeer had a heck of a career. He didn't only win 2 NBA championships as a player. He won, I believe, 3 or 4 WNBA titles when they had a Detroit Shock before they dismantled. Mm-hmm. So that's not a bad comparison. Looking, if Angel Reese just gets 1 WNBA championship, that's good enough for her. So I thought some of those comparisons by some of those fans, I think some of those fans, they think of the extracurricular stuff that Bill Laimbeer did was despicable. Some of it was despicable, but he was a key contributor to those Pistons teams. Remember, he was a 3-time All-Star too back in the day, besides having 2 rings. As I mentioned, his resume as a WNBA head coach, so he did just fine in that department. So if you're Angel Reese, being compared to Bill Laimbeer isn't bad, but you got to play within your game, and just try not to get too much far out of the box. I know her teammates with the Sky love her. I know Carmela Cardoso is doing well now. I know that, like I said, the team is not overall, but it was a hard foul. Like you said, it's bigger news than what it should be because Caitlin Clark is the face of the league. If it was any other player, it wouldn't get as much coverage, if not any at all. Now, if it was Kennedy Carter again, I think people really would have lost their lids. That's just me.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of one of those days where you're just like, really, like, come on. But I'm sure Laimbeer was not very happy that his name was trending, and I don't know if he's on social media. I don't think he is, but he's probably like, well, wait a minute, what did I do? Like, why am I in it? But I mean, like I said, I'm kind of over it. Let's move on, please.
You listen to Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakina hanging out here with you. We will get to Old School TV Monday coming up. I'm just looking through some of the headlines in the sports media world. Juan Soto, Lakina, during last night's Sunday night game between the Yankees and the Red Sox. Of course, MLB is trying to promote in-player interviews during the actual game. Some people like it, some people don't. And Juan Soto was briefly interrupted while catching a fly ball last night. And I think I saw him going into the camera well in the Green Monster too. Lakina, do you think this in-game interview sequence will last past this year with the MLB and ESPN in particular? Because I get the concept, but I could do without it, me personally. I know they're trying to get the younger fans in. I get all that, but I could care less about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, hopefully, he did. Yeah, I mean, he's already recovered from an injury. I think if you're a Yankee fan, you didn't want to see him slamming his shoulder into the Green Monster yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. But yeah, I mean, I'm kind of. It's funny kind of how that works because look, I get it. They did with the managers for a little bit. Now they're doing with the players. I get what they're doing, but yeah, I think it's a time and place for that. Maybe do it when like one guy's not up about to bat. Maybe if they're like in the back end of the order or whatever, maybe do it that way. Maybe not when the guy's trying to move, trying to field a ball. So it'll be interesting to see what they do to this. But yeah, I think you don't want to. Like, especially if you're Soto, if you're just recovering, you try to get that big, moolah, that big payday. You don't want to get hurt. So, you want to try and wait and see. But, I mean, they may kind of do away with it a little bit, I feel like.
Like I said, I don't have a problem with the managers. They don't want to do it, but it's only 1 or 2 questions there because you remember it's a less than a 2-minute break between commercials because of the pace of play. So, the managers interviews I don't have too much of a problem with, but the player interviews I know ESPN is trying to do it, but I don't like as far as the in-game player interviews. Now if they're walking off the field, fine, but after the game you expect that because the game is over. But during the game, I'm not so sure how long that's going to last. In the NBA, coaches don't like talking to the media during the game. Remember, I think it was 25 years ago, Lakina. Most of the coaches didn't want to wear a microphone, including Jeff Van Gundy. He was coach of the Knicks at the time. By the way, if the Boston Celtics win tonight, he'll get a championship ring finally, but as a scout, just saying. But now coaches are doing in-game interviews with these sideline reporters for the NBA. Remember, Greg Popovich, he kind of has fun with it, but he doesn't like, he still doesn't like doing it. He's one of those old school coaches, like, leave me alone, let me do my job and go on from there. But you see it in hockey. You kind of see it in football before the game. You see it at halftime, of course, after the game. But before the game, you'll see those sideline reporters asking 1 or 2 questions, and that's it. And that's okay because football's a different animal. But as far as baseball is concerned, with the in-game player interviews, I could do without it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a time and place for certain sports. I mean, basketball, it's fine. We know Pop doesn't like doing them, so that's kind of, we already know that. If you saw in the Stanley Cup final, we know Paul Maurice, he doesn't mind doing it. Like I said, I think he missed his calling as a stand-up comic. I mean, like, he's hilarious. Mario Huska, who's the coach for the no, not him, but I forgot who coaches the Edmonton Oilers, but I know he's pretty funny as well. So so like I said, it's all about time and place, I think. Chris Knobloch, I think, who coaches the Oilers, and no, he doesn't mind doing it. So yeah, I mean, it's all about time and place, I think, because I think some, like you said, some coaches might be fine with it, others are just like, what? No, don't bother me. So we know Chris Finch doesn't like it, of course, the coach of the Teal. So it's pretty funny kind of how all that works, but it's just a kind of interesting, to say the least.
And speaking of hockey, Lakina, the Stanley Cup Finals, even though it has been a big disappointment up to this point, yes, Edmonton, as we mentioned in our last segment, they won 8-1 on Saturday to keep their season alive. We're going to have Game 5 tomorrow at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on ABC. All 4 games up to this point has seen improvement in terms of ratings. Of course, Edmonton doesn't count in ratings for the United States because they're in Canada, but ESPN PR reported from Saturday's viewership, it delivered 3.1 million total viewers. To date, the Stanley Cup Final on ESPN platforms is up 25%, based on Nielsen Fast Nationals.
Yeah, that's if you're speaking, I'd be feeling pretty good about that, even though the series, at least so far, hasn't been very good. I think some of it is, Connor McDavid, his draw. And I think the stories, with the Panthers trying to get their first Stanley Cup, and Edmonton trying to get theirs the first time since the Messier years. And I know PK Subban's done a lot of promotion on social media, so that's probably helped as well. And of course, that I think they've had some very special guests. I think put Snoop Dogg over there with them. That would be pretty funny.
Yeah,
get him down there in Florida. Well, I don't know Florida. Okay, maybe I don't know what the marijuana laws are in Canada. So forget I said anything about that. But yeah, I think that's got a lot to do with it too. I think because, like you said, and plus there's really not much on during that time. We're kind of going to the part of the year where it's kind of a dead period between now when the finals are over, when the Stanley Cup finals are over. Now, got the Olympics coming up in about a month. So I think you're kind of getting into that crowd. Well, you know what? Maybe I'll check out some other stuff beforehand. So, we're ESPN. Got me feeling you're pretty happy about it.
Yeah. Of course, in all the four major sports, you like to see the big market teams do well with New York, LA, Chicago, and of course followed by Dallas, Detroit. Those big markets doing well. But good for ESPN that their ratings are up for the Stanley Cup final, even though Florida's been dominating this far.
We'll see if the Rays will be tomorrow night. Got another clincher tomorrow. Let's go to some football first. Like I said, we know that the Bears are going to be doing the preseason Hard Knocks. Well, now HBO and NFL Phil's now who's going to be doing the in-season Hard Knocks. It'll be the entire AFC North. That'll premiere Tuesday, December 3rd. It'll be streaming. It'll be on HBO and also streaming on Max. So, Sid, what do you think? Yeah, you got the Ravens, the Bengals, the Browns, the Steelers, all going to be part of the in-season Hard Knocks.
I don't know about this one, Lakina. I know Baltimore is coming off a disappointing loss in the AFC Championship game last year. They should have been in the Super Bowl representing the AFC, not Kansas City. I know Pittsburgh has the Russell Wilson, Justin Fields factor. I think you should have had that team as an in-season Hard Knocks. That would have been interesting within itself. Cincinnati, I can see with Joe Burrow coming back. Hopefully he stays healthy. Who cares about Cleveland? I know Deshaun Watson was injured last year. I know that Kevin Stefanski had 4 different quarterbacks to lead the team to the playoffs, even though they lost to Houston. But does anybody care about Cleveland outside of Cleveland? No!
Drew Carey might have something to say about that. He might care.
I know he's from Cleveland, but... I know he's from Cleveland, but besides him, does anybody care about the Cleveland Clowns? No.
Well, I guess they want to get rid of the. Well, someone's going to win that division, so I guess because you saw what happened in Indianapolis a couple of years ago. Of course, the Cardinals as well. So I guess someone's going to go win the division out of these 4. So I guess they want to kind of cancel all that out. So that's the only thing I think of as to why they would do this. But I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this produces. I mean, I think they all play each other after December 3rd, so it could be interesting to see. Maybe that's why they're doing it. I don't know, but it's intriguing to say the least. So, like I said, I don't know if I'll watch it all, but definitely some intrigue there.
It depends on how those teams do. I'll check in on it, but I'm not waiting with bated breath for that series. I'm not. Now, the Bears with the training camp, of course, we're based here in Chicago, and the Bears are expected to do big things. Of course, I'll watch it. Even if we weren't doing what we're doing, Lakina, I would still watch. So the Bears are more interesting than all those other teams that you mentioned, Lakina. If it came down to any of those teams, Lakina, as far as in season, I said I would have picked Pittsburgh because you had that Justin Fields, Russell Wilson factor there. When will Fields take over, and how will Mike Tomlin handle all this? That would have been interesting. So it's just a figure to feature the Steelers by themselves.
Should be interesting. We'll see what happens. Of course, you can catch the first episode of Hard Knocks featuring the entire AFC North, December 3rd. This is a Tuesday. Excuse me, on HBO and streaming on Max, I should say. The Second City Sports, Sports of Chicago. Lakina McGee Brown with you. We got some push to the Olympics. Sid, Kayla Decker will be going to her 4th Olympics.
Yay.
Bobby Fink, who of course is defending champ of both the 800 and the 1600 meter freestyle. He's going back to the Olympics in the 1600. So so far we get some old stars, but you got some new stars too, like 14-year-old Audrey Devereaux. She set the record in the 400-meter IM on the women's side. She's only 14, folks. That's insane. And Lily Kane, she vying for a spot in the Olympics as well. She has a couple of gold medals too in her belt. So the Olympic trials are in full swing, Sid.
And we were talking about this last week on the show that some people said that NBC needs Caitlin Clark. NBC needs Caitlin Clark. No, they don't. She would have helped if she was on the USA women's team, of course. But you mentioned with those breakout stars, they expected to do well. They do well, they'll get more to shine than if Caitlin Clark would have been on the USA women's team. So, and we talked about with Simone Biles perhaps being her last Olympics. We all know about the USA men's basketball team. And, of course, track and field always dominates at this time of year. So NBC is fine in terms of new stars and existing stars. So Caitlin Clark is not going to break the bank, ladies and gentlemen. No, Caitlin Clark means nobody's watching. That's BS.
Yeah, that's kind of, we can kind of get rid of that whole synopsis there.
Thank you.
Just not very smart by whoever's saying that, but you guys are forgetting that they've been promoting, even before Caitlin Clark became a thing, they've been promoting the Olympics for like the last 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
That should tell you something. But
exactly.
I'm just saying.
All right. Go ahead.
I think we got the same mindset, but go ahead.
All right, this will be quick. It's that time again. Around this time every Monday, we salute an old school TV show we call Old School TV Monday. Let's take it back to August of 1990. TGIF was developing to the go-to Friday TV block for ABC. And I know Lakina's going to remember this conversation we had a couple of weeks ago. This show was supposed to be one of its original shows, but it did not get picked up for a second season. I am talking about New Attitude. It was an American sitcom that aired on ABC from August 1990 until September of 1990. It was based on the play Beauty Shop by Shelley Garrett. Before Tyler Perry, before Shonda Rhimes, it was Shelley Garrett, folks. Do some search. The series aired for 6 episodes during ABC's TGIF lineup on Fridays. The synopsis of the program went like this. The St. James sisters had sunk everything they could beg, borrow into their new business venture, New Attitude Beauty Salon. The partnership was 50-50. Outrageous Try Anything Yvonne got them into trouble, and conservative sensible Vicky, played by Shirley Ralph, got them out. Lamar, played by singer Morris Day and Prince's cousin, by the way, was a colorful hairdresser, the quote-unquote Prince of Perms. Taylor, played by Karen Bankhead, was the ambitious but inept receptionist. She flunked the beautician exam 11 times. And Leon, played by Earl Billings, was the landlord. New Attitude aired a total of 6 episodes. They filmed April, only 6 were aired before being canceled by ABC in 1990. And just a fun fact, Lawrence Tate, who's from Chicago and a bit White Sox fan, he played Chili D on the program as well.
Yes, he did. And unfortunately, I think it was one of those shows where, unfortunately, I think it was time and place. If the show had came on like maybe a couple years later, it probably would have been on UPN, perhaps.
Yeah.
Oh well, but then again, Shirley Offman would not have been available to play D on Moesha, so a show you already dedicated. So maybe in a way that was probably a good thing on her part. But I think it was because it really wasn't meant to be it was more of an adult sitcom. It wasn't really a family sitcom. And TGIF was trying to kind of get away from the family sitcom. Of course, remember they had Going Places with Alan Ruck and Heather Locklear. Remember, Heather Locklear was doing a sitcom, so this is kind of the same concept. It kind of came on about the same time. This show, New Attitude, I thought it was hilarious. I thought it should have given more time. I think if it had been on a different time or a different day, maybe it would have made it. Because I think that the potential was there. I think it could have been a nice little rivalry between the two sisters. They had Shirley Ralph and Phyllis Stickney had a nice dynamic. Of course, Morris Day was hilarious as Lamar. He was just right. Yeah, Lawrence Taylor, of course. This is kind of one of his first forays into entertainment. I think he did like some modeling and stuff like that. And because of episode work too beforehand. So I think the potential was there, but it just didn't get a chance to develop fully.
And of course, one of the it was developed by the late great Clarence Avon, and one of the writers on the show was Ralph Falquar and Vita
Yes.
Spears. Remember, both of those folks were in the development of the sitcom Moesha. You should mention
Yep.
that debuted on UPN in 1996. Remember that show? And we did that salute to that show before.
Yes.
It was originally meant for CBS, but it was dropped. It was picked up by UPN.
And I think that's how I think I remember Shirley said in her Unsung episode that Ralph Falquar remembered her from that show. That's why they were able to contact her, and of course she auditioned. Of course, the rest was history there. So the connections are always good. It's always good to know people in the TV industry. So it's all kind of connecting. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was, like I said, I think like you said, so I think it had gotten more time. I don't know if it would last like maybe 7 or 8 years, but I think it could have gotten a good 4 or 5. I think it could have gotten to the syndication part. I think it could have gotten like 88 episodes or however that is now. But I think that, like the business side of it, kind of like the shit, that has the beauty shop and such. But I just don't think America was ready for that kind of thing yet.
Yeah, a couple other notes, Lakina. Remember the pilot? You can catch all these episodes, by the way, on YouTube. Just type in New Attitudes TV show full episodes. Remember the original theme song? They used Patti LaBelle's 1984 hit New Attitude, but some stuff went on behind the scenes, and they had Shirley Ralph sing the theme song. The lyrics were the same, but the pitch and the tempo changed, so they had Shirley Ralph singing the theme song. And number 2, this was not Morris Day's first acting gig. Remember, he was a guest star on 227 5 years before.
Well, yeah. Miss LaBelle wanted her paper. That's why. That's why. Because they kept the song, word by word. But I think Miss LaBelle wanted her paper for using her, her voice. So that's why they brought in, of course, they had Shirley, of course, to do that. But I mean, like, Morris Day, I think, was a natural, a comedian natural. Although I think his character probably would have been canceled had the show lasted a little bit longer. He was a little bit, I don't want to say inappropriate, but he was a little bit with some of the ladies. I know.
If you're talking about in today's times, yes.
Yeah, because I think one of, I don't know which character, but I think one of the ladies slapped him. So his character. So I don't think his character would have worked in today's time. Just saying.
Yeah. So for Old School TV Monday for this week, we salute the ABC sitcom New Attitude. Lakina, close us out.
I could sing it, but I'm not going to. I don't have the voice.
Same here.
You follow my Keita McGee on the Twitter, X, and Keita Scorgi on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter, X, and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80. Don't forget to download that Sports on Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Follow Sports on Chicago on all social media platforms. That's Facebook, Twitter, X, Instagram, and YouTube. Please subscribe to our podcast. We are located at War Media Podcast. That's WARR Media, PODCASTS. We are on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. And while you're ready, please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on all social media platforms. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Be sure to catch Second City Sports live in the living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as the young folks would say. Catch Second City Sports live in the living color every Monday, every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And of course, you can get Sports on Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku TV. So whatever you get your apps, of course, if you don't want to watch replay of that Cubs Cardinals game yesterday that aired on there, you can catch our whatever device you got, smart TV, smartphone, tablet, what have you, Chromebook. Just type in Sports on Chicago on the Roku app. Catch our show, Sean and Maya, the Smoke Fellas, What's Up Cousin. Of course, we're going to have some great content coming up, too. Just have a football season, but you get Sports on Chicago anytime, anywhere on Roku TV.
And we will provide.
All right, guys, enjoy the sports. Of course, you got the College World Series going on right now in Omaha. Also, too, you got the Euros. For all you soccer fans, the Euros are on right now. Belgium was upset by Slovakia. Okay. I know there's a match going on right now too. So enjoy that, and of course, we'll see if the Panthers and the Celtics can wrap up and win some championships while we're gone. Of course, maybe we'll be previewing some Game 6 and 7s. We'll see. And of course, remember, with the Bears starting training camp in about a little over a month, we'll have some folks on to talk some Bears. So enjoy the sports. So, look, if you want to catch up on doing like watching old TV shows or new TV shows like New Attitude, you can catch it right there on YouTube. So, so if you want to keep cool out there, I know it's getting hot in some parts of the country. So, look, check us out. Keep it cool with us. So for Sid, I'm Lakina. This is Second City Sports on Sports Social Chicago, and we'll see you guys Friday. Stay cool.
I got a new attitude. Holla.
Oh, brother.